I mentioned before about my dad being a good woodcutter, and he made part of our living that way. Well, I helped him when I got big enough. I never was any good at cutting wood, but my job was to haul the brush away from where he was working, and then to stack the wood. You stacked it into cords. I think it was 4 foot by 8 foot cords, and that's where you got paid. So much cord. I'd drag the brush off and pile it in the pile to be eventually burnt. Had to stay out of his way while he's actually chopping, and he'd motion for me to move on in and get what he'd already chopped up or chopped off the tree, and I'd haul it off and prepare it to burn. Well, I guess the most important thing I did was stay out of the way. Another farm chore was hoeing and chopping cotton. Now this was pleasant compared to picking it. But when the cotton was up about 4 or 5 inches tall, you went in with a hoe and you hoed the weeds out of the row, and usually you'd have to thin the cottons a little bit. Well, I wasn't too good. I'd all right the weeds, but thinning the cotton sometimes I'd forget. Especially if the airplane was flying over, I'd be paying more attention to the airplane than was my hoe. Take out a little bit too much cotton. Well, I'd hear about it and keep my head out of the clouds and tend to what I was doing. My dad was a hard worker. He believed giving a man a good day's work and then a little bit more. I remember we'd stop at the end of a row. If there was a shade tree around any place, we'd get under it. Kept our water in a jug, wrapped in a tow sack out there somewhere in the shade. We'd all get us a drink of water. Some of the men smoked, some of the men chewed. They'd do their business. And my daddy'd be sitting there all that time. He'd talk a little bit, but he was filing his hoe. It just seemed like he had to be working. So his hoe was always sharp, which is the best way. He always told me, he said it's twice as much work with a dull hoe, so keep it sharp. I kind of tried to do that all through my life, keep the tool sharp.